Welcome to the Become Sensible podcast, where we discuss practical accounting, finance, and tax for everyday business. I'm your host, Fiona, and I'm here to show you that no matter what your business financial situation is, you can change it. Welcome back to the podcast Become Sensible. If you ever order anything online, you know that the unboxing moment is a part of the product and the experience itself. And I mean, all of us order things from online. The way of the packaging is land on your hand, how it looks, how it feels, that can determine whether you will become a repeatable customer or not. So today's guest would know that more than any one of us. I'm talking about Derick, the founder of Custom Box IO, a company that have thousands of small business move from the blank shipping boxes to affordable branded packaging that drive repeatable sale and save shipping costs for the business owner. With a background in e-commerce, in digital marketing and software development and leadership at the big companies like Jaros, the Home Depot, Cox Media, Derick brings a unique perspective on how packaging can fuel the growth, customer loyalties, and sustainability for small business. So welcome, Derick.
Yeah, thank you, Fiona, for that great introduction. Really appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're so excited to have you because I think like your experience and the way that you think about your brand and your company that serve a lot of our listeners, like the customer, the company that is trying to grow the company, but they also serve like millions of other like individual customers. So I'm sure that the conversation we have today will be like super helpful for them. So take me back, like how is all of this make you start in packaging and tax in the first place?
Yeah, so before doing this, I did a lot of startups for larger companies. And for one of those, I started a company called Southern Kitchen for Cox Media. And, we had a lot of resources, but I was like, hey, we need to start shipping our products into like something that's unique because we're a high-end kitchen brand. And we went to go look for boxes and it was really hard and really expensive. And so that just kind of put a seed in my back of my head that this is something I want to go fix at some point in time.
Yeah.
And basically I had a lot of e-com marketing and technology experiences. And so I just figured like, hey, I can put all this together and try to figure out a solution that actually works for small businesses, not just the largest of the large. And that's basically how it came about, is basically looking at a blank box and thinking, hey, that's billboard space. It's wasted if you don't put something on it. So that's the marketing background. And like, I can figure out the logistics to make this cheaper. And so that's where it kind of came together.
That's his brilliant ideas. Like anytime that I receive, like especially like gift from like other vendors and they ship us the gift, and it's when you open, you receive the gift in the boxes itself. It looks amazing, and it just gives you so much impression about the brand. But then, like, what was the moment that you thought back and you say, okay, this isn't just an idea; it's actually a real business itself.
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. It's actually the opposite at first. We tried the subscription only plan at first to make it like really different. And it was like almost too different. And it really kind of flopped. And so I was a little bit nervous at first. But then kind of flipping. But the good news is I was like kind of before the holiday season. And so where we kind of thought we had something was, I think it was like month 2, our sales were something like, I don't know, $40,000 that month. And we basically had to shut down sales. We're like, we got too busy because we didn't have enough investment. So I'm like, wow, this could actually be something. And then having just people come back, like not just order something once, but then come back like 2 weeks later and buy something from us again, because they're like clearly testing the water to see if we're like a legit company. And so, yeah, it was something to kind of like see, and it's kind of pretty interesting. The good news is like once, I was building it on the side, I highly recommend people read The Third Shift Entrepreneur. So I didn't quit my full-time job. I was doing something for someone else. And so I got to build it up on the side until I did get those indicators and signals that, hey, this could be something after all.
But I mean, like for you to be able to work full-time jobs and then like build a business itself, it's like how much of time that you need to spend in working, like 80 hours per week or something.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is the skill that in terms of how you manage multiple things at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely a lot, but at the same time, I'm pretty efficient at what I do. I was getting good performance ratings for the company I was working for. And I'm pretty risk averse in general. And so this is a way for me to de-risk, right? And so something really bad happened that first year. it didn't matter, right? I mean, like I can just like, well, I tried. At least I can say I tried. But fortunately, things worked out in a positive way.
Yeah, I think like those year of experience that you work for big corporation is actually teach you a lot about processing and operation and all of those. So it's come together. It's super helpful for you. So
Yeah,
then
absolutely.
tell me a little bit about like how those early days look like for you, like scrappy wing, mistake, or like nearly miss, or like like that. There's so many like women founder actually like cry on online say, oh, it's horrible. I feel horrible about the work that I do. Like, do you actually have those moments at all?
Oh yeah, the first 6 months are really incredibly difficult because you don't have that instant feedback loop of sales and that sort of thing. And
Mm,
so I think, and you're doing it oftentimes alone, like you're doing a lot of different things. Like obviously we had people in our business that was able to fund.
yeah.
That's the benefit of doing it with someone else the way how we did it.
Yeah.
But it's really hard because you're trying to do at least 30 different jobs and you're just trying to do them all at least pretty well. Plus mine, I was trying to make sure I didn't get fired from my regular job. So all things were really important, but we just had to sort of like pick your battles. The nice thing is it basically just makes sure that you only focus on the super important things for the most part, which is good. And I think the other part of this indication was like when you first get those first 10 reviews and first
Mm.
100 orders, I mean, your mind just like because of like how hard it is. I almost like feel better about the first 100 than anything else, just because it's just so incredibly difficult. So people just got to stick with it.
Yeah, people say that the hardest is how to get that one first client, and then
Yeah.
everything else is like get easier.
The snowball analogy definitely holds
Yeah,
true.
yeah. You
Yeah,
feel
it's really
like
hard.
your idea is like validated, but you also like get the experience and the feedback loop from like clients to help you like to get better with the work that you do too. So
Exactly.
tell me like what was the moment that you say, okay, this is like a big win or like something that is like scalable for you or aha moment that is like it's breakthrough through like scrappy to like a lot like ebb and flow in the business and in the first stage?
Yeah, there's a couple of things that kind of made us happy. So our first sale actually came on Earth Day,
Oh,
which was just
okay.
kind of cool. So even if it was, the old motto was bad, but it still happened at Earth Day. So we still kind of count that as our launch date to this day. And then when a customer ordered like $5,000 worth of product, most companies were ordering like $200 or $300 worth of stuff. This customer came through and like ordered a bunch. We're like, holy cow, that's a lot. But then even more importantly, like one customer ordered something from Florida when we were in Washington. It cost like
Yeah.
$80 to ship it down to Florida. It now costs like, under 20. But that kind of like said like, wow, must be pretty darn good. If someone's willing to pay this much in shipping costs to get it down there, we might be onto something. So that was another
Mm.
really good indicator that I think we were in the right spot.
But do you feel like there's the connection anything in the Earth Day with that orders like because of like your products have something that have a connection on that thing or is like ever you ask them why they choose to like your brand?
Yeah, I think just seeing our customer reviews is one of my favorite things. So we actually
Mm,
have a Slack channel that kind of shows what people have there and we share things all the time. And so just
mm,
getting the first review, like the first like completely independent review and just like where someone
yeah.
was like, I mean, they're very passionate because again, most people before we kind of came along, most people couldn't afford it or couldn't find it or couldn't do something. And so people
Mm,
are, a lot of people, our customers take pictures of themselves with their box or like do a full layout of their boxes, which is great, right? And so people are really passionate about this and that makes us really happy. So anytime we're down, we just go look at our review channel. We have like over 500 reviews at this point in time. That definitely cheers us up, which is nice.
Oh, that is wonderful because the other days I will not tell the brand at all, but then I come into their website and they have I think nowadays a lot of brand they do is basically they pay out or like give the sample of whatever reason, but they call incentive review. It means it's not like naturally like people buy the
Yep.
product and they like it and review it at all.
Yep.
But it's, I think like natural like real review feel like
Yep.
more authentic. It just make me like questionable about like whether like all these review is real thing and I just don't want to like try it at all. So
Yeah,
I
I think
agree with
it's a
you.
big problem, especially with AI going forward. So a lot of our reviews have pictures in them, which is great, right? And so people will photograph themselves. And initially, we actually had the business name with them. So
Mm,
people could the nice thing about us is unlike you or I, it's hard to like Google us as independent people, but people could Google the businesses leaving reviews, which is, makes
mm.
us more authentic than I think most companies. But yeah, I agree. That Amazon has a lot of problems with that. And a lot of big companies have issues with reviews on both sides because competitors leave bad reviews. Right. And so that's not legit either. Right. And so they're like, I'm gonna go give a bad review. They'll buy a product just to give a bad review. So yeah, reviews are tough. But we try to make ours better than most by having a photograph or a video going forward too as well.
I remember one video I saw that the woman, she bought glove from Aretisa. And the package are like the bags when you buy in store, it's like have like some visualize, it's beautiful on the backs. And she basically cut off this picture and she framed it and she put in the back of a wall. It look like art.
Yeah.
And like the way that you say about like how the packaging look is actually connected to how some of customer they attach to the brand because how is that can be like an art in us.
Yeah,
That's
it. No, we love seeing that, right? And so that's when we know, I mean, it's one thing to leave a quick 5-word review, but it's another thing to take time to take a photograph with your box in our case.
Yeah.
Or to like stage a lot of people stage their boxes with like a really nice background. So we love that.
Okay. Yeah. This is beautiful. Okay. So if someone listening to this podcast and they thinking to buy how to plan to take a first big client, what is your advice for them in terms of how to do that?
The first big client, I think the number one thing is to basically make sure you're solving a pain point. For us, it is basically that blank boxes, nobody really wants blank boxes, too expensive, not easy, and all that sort of stuff. So I think if you can solve a pain point for the customers, people will buy, but then it's just a matter of awareness at that point in time. So that's number one. And then I think so once we got it kind of proved for us is like, well, we think that the blank box market, it's an $80 billion market. And we're like, well, who actually wants blank boxes? And people are like, we did a survey and yeah, of course, like 80-90% of the companies said, we don't want a blank box. I'm like, okay, well, this $80 billion market shouldn't really exist if we can just do it slightly better than everyone else. And then obviously the traction becomes the indicator at that point in time. So yeah, definitely solving a pain point is a good idea.
I think like probably like the customer segment of your client, maybe a little bit like higher segment of client. Do you think so?
I think we get actually a pretty wide variety of customers. So I think it's just people who are passionate about their brands, number one. And so I think that's the biggest thing. And so I would say 2/3 of our clients are people typically on like Shopify or Etsy and TikTok. And that sort of thing. But then we also have like 1/3 of our customers are non-ecom related. So like they actually are accounting firms or real estate agents. And they're just sending thank you boxes, right? And so just a nice way to build things out. And so, yeah, we kind of run the gamut of industries, but it's nice to see that kind of very diverse customer base.
Okay, that's just wonderful. So then like, tell me like all of this over the year that you build the brand up until now, like tell me a little bit like how it look like from the inside. What is the state that you are in as the business in terms of like clients or like the market reach or the segment that you are serving?
So I guess that's a good segue for what we're talking about. So we're just about to hit our 10,000th order, which is a pretty big deal in the Shopify universe. Thank you. I guess they actually send you a physical plaque, which we're actually, I don't have it. I wish I had it now, but we haven't done it yet. So that'll be pretty big. And they actually told us that we're in the top 25% of the stores worldwide, which is really cool. And we're serving thousands of clients across those different industries. Like I said, retailers, not even lots of nonprofits leverage us, which is like one of my passion areas as well. But yeah, we're obviously have a lot of work to do because we're just barely making a dent in that $80 billion market. And so we're serving thousands today. When we're serving hundreds of thousands of people, we'll be happy because we'll be helping them do it. And so we think we're making we're helping them sell more, which is great because then when they sell more, we sell more, which is a nice win-win.
Yeah. So your envision is you want actually like scale bigger, share the market share and help more of the people. Do you think like you ever like dream to serve the international clients at all?
International is tougher just because our product is so big and bulky. I think that's an opportunity, but I think we would probably go to Canada first. It's a natural extension for us, but I think right now we're very focused on the market here in the US for now. Just because, again, it's such a large market here that we have a lot of businesses we can help right here at home.
Okay, and then like tell me like to scale from the day one until today, versus from the day that you hustling like two full-time jobs to today. What is the actually the hardest part for you that you think like valuable to like share to other people?
I think balancing basically the equation of quality versus speed. They're both very necessary when you're first starting, because if your quality is bad, it's really hard to get people to come back. But if you move
Mm,
too slowly, then you're waiting too long for things. I think that was the hardest part. And then of course, people. When you're trying to do things, especially in my case, where I was basically trying to hire a team to help kind of build things out, it's definitely hard to do that as well. But at the same time, like when I was working for these large companies, I've managed over 100 people, so I enjoy the people management side of things.
mm.
But for other people, it can be even more challenging, because it's already challenging on itself, especially if you don't care for it that much. But luckily, I like it.
Okay. Do you feel like it's very hard to find like talented people in like because you are on the stage of scaling, but you're not like a big company that have a huge budget to like throw the compensation toward people that who have the
Yeah.
talent and skill. So do you feel like it's hard to hire like qualified client the people and also can like reasonable for your budgets?
Yeah, no, for sure. So most of my startups to this point were for large companies, and they have all that. They have the salary and the benefits and all that sort of stuff. And so you just kind of need to give like the reason for why people are there, but we
Yeah.
have that. So I think that's one of the big things that we do now is you find a higher purpose. For us, it's being very passionate about helping small businesses, right? And so that's the reason why I left my cushy job with these big companies, because I have a passion for helping small businesses. I think it's unfair generally how small businesses have to compete against large companies. And so that's my passion, and that's basically what we try to hire for. Plus, we have an environmental angle as well, because I think it's like you have to take your advantages, and then also you look for people who have worked at a business like yours before. And so, someone who was working at Home Depot, for example, I love Home Depot, but if they only had a job at Home Depot, they would hate coming to like our startup right away. So it's like work at somewhere slightly smaller than that first, and then come work for us. And so versus like we just hired someone who worked for another startup on Shopify. That's a perfect mix for what we're trying to do. But yeah, it's definitely harder. Sure.
So do you like you talk about like the qualities and how to make sure that this is not like too over like 100% quality, but it's not like compromise of quality. How do you actually know when thing is actually like good enough to actually send it out to your clients or your customer?
Yeah, we basically have a checklist that we do to
Yeah.
make sure that we have it, but it's very simple. One of the things I learned when I was at Home Depot is the CEO before, I won't name names, but we had like a 30-point checklist versus the new CEO came in and said, we have 5, right?
Mm,
And those 5 stayed the same the entire time I was there. And so
mm,
simplicity is really important. So we have that. And then the other thing we did was we started a Slack channel for QA, where we
mm,
basically photograph every box that goes out our door. We take a photograph of it. And that
mm.
basically helps 2 ways. It definitely helps if there's a problem with the order. We can say, hey, we have a photo of it. But it brings a sense of pride to the people doing the printing, plus a sense of like, well, they have to post it to the entire company. And so that's like essentially the first kind of QA side of things. And so our answer to like balancing, but it doesn't slow us down. It takes maybe an extra 30 seconds to do that, which is just kind of nice. So finding creative things like that, I think, is important.
Do you think like in all the thing that you need to do to scale the company, what is the hardest part of it?
I think just balancing the different things. I live by the pick 2 doctrine between speed, cost, and quality. And it's really important for us to try to get our customers to try to abide by that as well. That's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I think it's that basically trying to get everyone on the same page, what you're trying to solve, and not trying to solve everything, because you can't. Like it's literally impossible to solve everything. Like that. If you try to be everything to everyone, you end up being nothing to anyone. Right.
Yeah,
And so you just got to kind of pick your lane and stick with it.
yeah. And do you feel like because of course like you're doing is really well, but compared to like there's your competitor on the markets and some company is like longer or a bigger company. Do you feel like is there something that you feel like challenging to be in the markets and scale the company?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, capital. I think capital is definitely
Yeah.
it's super important. That's one of my passions. Actually, joined we graduated from the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program.
Mm,
And one of my passions after graduating from that is basically help companies find funding, because that's one thing I had when I was at these big companies is I didn't have to worry about capital. And that is a huge benefit to companies. And so, yeah, I would probably say the capital piece and the people side of things, which is kind of tied to that capital piece, are probably the two hardest things to compete with. But then again, we have advantages. Like we move faster, we're more nimble. We have these other things that we know all of our employees are passionate about what we're doing and stuff like that. So you just kind of have to focus on your positives and not so much focus on negatives.
This is the other thing is you're really passionate about like small business. But like people always say like small business is like very hard to serve because they don't have every process and system and capital and everything in the place. So the weighing between like serving big clients and small clients, like small business, what is like drive your decision that you want, okay, I go for the people in small business?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's easier to go get one large client, but for us, again, it's just a passion more than anything else. It's like, we're going to stick where we're at. Like we won't not serve some of the larger customers, but we're building our systems and our people and our process around small businesses, because this is where I think we need to stay. Again, just because it would be bad for me to say, I want to do this short term and then kind of move up market. I know some companies do that. But we're not going to do that. We're going to stick with the small companies. Because again, a small company is defined basically less than $50 million. And then even medium-sized businesses around $100 million. And so we say small and medium-sized businesses. And so we're just not going to go enterprise. I was part of YX. I got to learn enterprise sales, and it's a very long business cycle. So that definitely has some positive and negatives to that front as well. But again, it's just a passion, helping small businesses, and we're more able to see them grow. It's more evident, which was really fun. Again, we grow when they grow, and it's nice to have that.
Yeah, I totally agree. A couple of days ago, I listened to someone like in venture capital, and she said that serving big client and serving small client actually equally hard.
Yep.
It's just like whether like which one you actually like feel like you passionate or you like equipped to serve. Because like you say, like large client is like the cycle of closing and process to go to the deal is actually like very long, sometimes like 6 months to a year, it fall into the budgets and all of those things too. And then like smaller clients actually have a challenge of processing capital and all of that.
Yep.
But I worked for the big corporation before too. I like 15 years, 17 years in corporate, like IBM and all of this too. And once I say like, that's this, because all the effort, the same thing, but you don't feel like you actually touch into the end user, the customer at all.
That's right.
But like now doing like with smaller business, you feel like, okay, you see their change and their growth with it too. And it's motivate for you to do is every single day.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. And then for us, the other part of it too is because you are serving small companies, is you have to sort of teach the customers too. So in other words, if a customer doesn't understand that pick two philosophy that we believe in, right? Like cost, quality, and speed. If they are very demanding of all three, then we're like, well, maybe this is not the right customer for us. So we actually have fired a fair number of customers just because some customers, I think it's like 2% of your customers can end up costing you 20% of your overall cost. And those unrealistic, unreasonable customers end up costing the entire universe their money. And so if you sort of keep them around, so we don't say the customer is always right. We say the fair customer is always right, because unreasonable customers aren't always right. And I think if you're serving that segment, I think you have to be willing to say that is you can't keep all customers, but you can keep all fair customers.
What does Warren Buffett say that like eventually you need to learn how to like say no?
Yeah.
The hardest, the skill that you need to do is like how to say no to the thing that's not like suitable or match with the work that you do. So I totally agree on that. Okay. What do you think like most brands get wrong about packaging when they try to like scale the company?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is to not understand that. I think most people treat the box strictly as a utility it just ships a product from point A to point B. And I think that's a huge mistake. But an operations person, that makes sense, right? Because that's what their job is. And so, I just think that it needs to be more of a collaborative effort and to say, this is, yes, it's a utility. However, it's a blank billboard, right? And so the equivalent for me is like, if you're driving down the freeway and you saw a blank billboard, you'd be like, what a waste of money that is. But yet all these companies do it. Again, $80 billion industry. So people are doing this all the time. And the question again is, why would you do that? And so if you're a marketing person or you're the owner of the company and you're sending blank boxes out, you got to ask yourself, like, why are we not taking advantage of this marketing space? you're having to pay Google or pay Meta and all these other companies instead, when your customer is more likely to repeat if you have some sort of message on them for them or some sort of brand affinity when they get it. And so yeah, I think that's the number one thing for us to do, because again, we figured out you only need a roughly a 0.4% increase in sales to help pay for the box, but most companies see like 5 to 15% improvements, and so it's a really good ROI for companies out there that, again, the vast majority of companies aren't taking advantage of today.
That's an interesting point. Do you know like how they measure that return on investment, like ROI, on like the way that like just a box that actually get like so much of increase in terms of sale? Like, is this the feeling they attach to the brand, or what is like a customer experience, or what is the thing that drive that like return?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, so I do think there is a feeling that it makes, that, again, you get no feeling from a blank box. You're just you're like, hey, it arrived, right? And so it's transactionally speaking, that is job, check. But there's no feeling to that. And so when you provide some branding, I think there's some association there that you get. And then the positive thing about where we're at now technology-wise is that with a QR code is that you make that connection easier, because all you do is like you have a QR code and say, scan me, or see more important details, or you give something about this. Like when you get your Amazon packages now, a lot of times there's a QR code on the bottom talking about the package and stuff like that. So there's just a lot of ways to make it, before like there was like no ability to sort of have that interaction, but now there is, and you can measure it, right? Which is great, which is what so now it can truly act like an ad that you can actually track, which is a positive.
Yeah, I saw it's like on over the social media that people make a lot of like unboxing video.
Yeah.
And I can imagine like your box actually one of those box that people actually make the video. And I think that is would like affect in terms of how people comment on those like social media. You basically get like free advertisement.
That's right.
For the brand.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's exactly it. Is that, I don't know the exact numbers, but I'm sure the number of people who do that unboxing videos is like 10 times as many as the people doing it for blank boxes. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. So like, tell me a little bit, like if your company will achieve your dream vision in the next 5 years, how it will actually look like.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us is making sure that we're the go-to-market, or we're the best in the market at basically getting these custom boxes for people. And we're basically solving a lot of people's pain points, but we want to go from helping thousands of small businesses to hundreds of thousands of small businesses to be hopefully even millions of small businesses. Because again, if we can help, I think we did something like well, if we can help this, I can't remember exact math, but we figured we can help save the small business in total, like $350 million in advertising dollars, and drive like billions of dollars in extra sales. And so that at the end of the day is going to be truly meaningful, and as the impact. And then the other side of the impact, again, is on the environmental side of things. Is like, we know we have a better environmental product, but we know we can get even better down the road. And so we know we can actually drive a really big environmental positive impact as well going forward. And so those are big two measurements for us going forward.
Oh, tell me a little bit about, like, I remember when I learned about your business like a couple months ago, and you tell like about that's like environmental impact. Tell me a little bit about it, and like share with the listeners how actually your box is actually have a positive impact on the environment. So it's like considerable compared to other people or like other company provide on the market.
Yeah, I think so. When people go do custom packaging today, the vast majority of people pick a white box with color ink, right? And because you're paying so much for it, right? If you're paying 10 times the amount that you have for us, like we focus on craft and black ink, right? And so just like if you look at your Amazon box, it's craft and black ink. There's a reason why we sort of came up with that. But the difference between that is a white box, by definition, like you can't recycle any of it, because if you did it, you would actually make the white box not white anymore. And so it doesn't look as clean. And so that is a really big drain on the environment. And then the other side of it is color ink is typically worse than black ink. And so, so that's where we sort of got our estimates of like, if we can basically prevent people from moving to the white boxes with a color background, instead of just kind of pick, hey, craft and black. Again, if it's good enough for Amazon, it should be good enough for most businesses as well. We're not saying that you should never go white, because some people, like really high premium brands that just, maybe they have to do it. Fine. We're not saying that's a bad thing, But we're saying, hey, why don't you try to start with crafted black to start with? Because it's cheaper, but it's also better for the environment as well.
Mm. And I remember, like you say, like there's the website or something that like where people like can tracks or like is this donation back or something that I don't actually recall exactly what it was.
Yeah, there's like two levels. And so the next tier for us going forward would be like to get more recycled content inside the
Mm.
boxes themselves. And so
Mm.
when you get to, we feel like once we get over, like it's a volume thing, right? With everything else, you have to buy a lot in order to save it. But so when we get to the point where we can do like 100% recycled packaging, say, our basic goal is to do that. And then over the course of 5 years, we think we can save, when we do that, if we do that, hopefully, cross our fingers, we would save like 800,000 trees per year, 340 million gallons of water per year, and like 190 million kilowatts of electricity per year to do that. And so it's roughly half that if we stuck where we're at now. But still, even if we just do that versus white boxes, it's a really big win. But that's our long-term goal as well.
And then from now until the next 5 years for the vision that you want to serve like hundreds of thousands of small business, like even to reach a million of customer, what is one of the like the most important factor will contribute for you to like achieve that goal, achieve that vision?
Yeah, I think keeping your customers happy and keeping your employees happy. It's actually something I learned very early on. I did my first internship at Medtronic, and like the CEO, Bill George at the time, was basically like, he said, I don't care about shareholders, because if I care about shareholders, then you're not doing the right thing. He's like, I care about employees and customers. And if you care about those two groups, the
Yeah.
shareholders will take care of themselves. And so that's the most important thing for us, is to keep those two groups happy. And if we do that, we think we'll be in a good spot in 5 years.
Okay, that's wonderful. So my last question is like, if you go back to the day one of Derick's, start your company, what is one advice that you would give to him?
Yeah, so I'm pretty risk averse, as I said
Oh,
earlier
really?
today. Yeah, which is rare for, I think, an entrepreneur, but that's why I sort of started things on the side and paid for things. But we sort of end the year and you look at the numbers and you'd say, we should have invested more. Like hindsight's 2020, but like every year we're like, oh man, we could have grown more if we have done that. But at the same token, we would have exposed our company to a little bit more risk. And so I wasn't really thrilled at that, but that's a hard thing for us. By the same token, like we're super happy with things we're at and very grateful for where we're at today. And so I don't know if I would change too much other than maybe just incrementally investing a little bit more so you get a little bit further along at this point in time.
You mean that is like investment back into like marketing towards the people or like?
Mostly marketing, just to kind of get bigger faster, essentially. But that's tough. 2020 hindsight's nice, but I think
Yeah.
we're in a pretty good spot today.
Yeah, we always like look back and connect the thing together, connect the dots to get together, and then we say, okay, well, we should have to do this better. But then the next year we have something new that we need to like do better. So
Yep,
it
exactly.
never stop a bit. So thank you so much for your time today. And I love the conversation like this because it's remind us that scaling is just not easy, like just marketing and sale. It's about the detail, the customer touch point, the thing that most founder like overlook of it. So your stories with the custom box IO, it's just so how much opportunity it is when you actually solve the problem that other people just underestimated. And packaging is not just a box, it's a branding, it's a customer experience, it's a retention. So I hope that the listeners enjoys the episode and go check out the Custom Box IOs, their website and information in the show note, and see the work that they are doing. And if you enjoy the episode today, send it to your friends or other business owners and founder, and the one who actually working on scaling the business, so that they think about something bigger and how their business show up. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you next episode.